Hey everyone, I'm Tassinix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming. It occurs to me that I've never really properly introduced the show as a Grand Arena focused podcast.
No, you have.
If I have, it's been distant in the past. So anyway, welcome to Plotting and Scheming, Grand Arena focused podcast. Joined by my regular co-hosts, Dagger, TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal. Gentlemen, interesting week. I had one legitimate match, which I lost in round one. I have the opportunity here, round one of this week, to avenge myself against the same gentleman, Elias Lund. Learned a couple good things. Can't wait to get into the details. But otherwise, I had two Erodiums for the rest of the week. Got my 2-1. The game blessed me and recognized that I was meant for great things. So it made sure that I basically stayed where I was. Dagger, how about you?
Well, I had a very similar week to you, except instead of facing 2 Erodiums, I faced 3.
So fancy.
The upside is I am in Kyber. The downside is I am in Erodium until the end of the season.
Gross.
So at the end of the season, I could be like Kyber 2.
Here's hoping.
Just by points.
One day I know we'll see you, and then there'll be all different stories.
My favorite possibility is I end up in the top 5 of Kyber 1 because I'm at the top of Erodium 1.
Yes, that would be amazing.
You will never fucking live that down.
If you dropped in right next to Sasha's, like, hey.
Yeah, you will never fucking live that down if that happens.
There's nothing for me to live down. It's your achievement. You broke the game in the direction you were going anyway.
And if that happens, Sasha, I hope you feel okay fighting this Erodium account.
That would be fantastic.
Oh, I would love it.
I'd be delighted to see it.
Amazing if true. All right, TJ, how about you? How was your week?
Oh man. So 1 and 2, and one I let it get to ships, and the other Jabba beat me, and that was my own fault. So both call my own to get to be 1 and 2, and now I'm fighting somebody who is 11 million GP. So I'm fighting a Dagger-esque opponent, in my opinion, only because of the fact that he's an Erodium and this is an 11 million GP opponent, so it's my own fault. But other than that, good.
Fair. Very fair. Sasha Aisha, how about you?
Good. It was multiple real matches. I went 2-1. The loss that I took was it was a good match. It was with Baby Yoda, and we'll get into the details in the segment here in a bit. But it was I underestimated a squad that he said that I hadn't faced before, and that's part of what makes this game fun. It wasn't the underestimating initially that cost me; it was the impatience and then overspend to solve it. Or to move past it, that then cost me on the back wall. So, good, fun matches, and overall, I felt like a good week 1.
All right, glad to hear it.
Inquiring minds would like to know, Sasha, who had more rerolls, you or Baby Yoda?
It can't
Baby Yoda, meaningfully, yeah.
It can't be close, right? Like, don't tell me it's close.
No, I mean, I love me some Datacrons, but Baby Yoda's on a whole nother level.
You can't. Okay, just because he's got named Baby in the name, you can't treat that dude like that. That dude, he is the joke of how fast is he beaten Conquest. We're not talking he waits at tier 4 like the rest of us. We're talking that within an hour or two he's already done with Conquest. So there's nothing like him, to be fair.
Oh yeah, the last 3 Conquests he has finished before I started. And I started about an hour and a half after it begins.
That's what I said.
That's how fast that dude finishes Conquest.
Yeah, his storyline of the joke of within the guild, how fast does Baby Yoda finish? Like, what do you mean? I'm already done. And it's like, I didn't post because I didn't want to make you feel bad. That's the joke for all of the real spenders. There's nothing. Yeah, you're not playing with the baby.
Yeah, when somebody posts the first person that's not Baby Yoda, because everyone posts, oh, I finished in 2 days. Yeah, and then he's like, been done for 19 hours.
I didn't want you to feel bad.
And he's like, he always waits for somebody else to post. Then when he posts, he tells you how long he's finished.
Yeah, it's like, I didn't want you to feel bad.
Sorry. Back to
Fair.
our regular scheduled programming.
No worries. Fatal, how about you? How did the week go? You said you were coming in hot.
No, that was for
That
other
means-
Oh, that
personal
was just
reasons.
from real life. I thought, because I saw you weren't streaming, so I figured you were just, I don't know, late from something, and it's like, I have to do matches. I can't even talk right now.
No, for the sake of not related, but better not talk. But anyway, very interesting week. I went 2-1, and well, I need to absolve myself for last week, so I could do two birds, one stone. The first match is the one I lost, and I lost it. I lost it because I had 45 minutes to play, but that was the match where it was right after New Year's. And let's say that I theoretically missed a podcast that I probably should have been around for.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a long New Year's night, and then it rolled over to the next morning, and then I had some shit to do, and I got home at like 3 p.m. I was like, okay, I had done a draft of my defense the day before, and I reached 15 teams. I was actually like, damn, this board actually feels kind of good. Like, I was talking to them about how I couldn't count to 15. I was kind of worried. No, I got to 15. I was like, okay, this checks out.
Okay.
And then, got home. Just like I made the mistake of sitting down in a chair with nothing to do. It was just immediately, just like fucking lights out. So I missed the podcast here and GAC locked in, and I only had Datacrons on 3 teams. And I looked at my board, and this is kind of I think the omen for this season. Is I looked at my board with no Datacrons equipped, and I was like, yeah, no, this is actually still like a pretty good board, I think. Like, I'm actually kind of confident here. And then I proceeded to get like a good 10 plus holds in that round.
Nice.
And I think that kind of just speaks to, I mean, like, I lost this, like, I threw on a counter that I forgot exists, blah, blah, blah. I did lose.
Mm-hmm.
The results were there, and so, yeah, dude, I think I feel very strong on this season overall. I think going wide just looks fucking fantastic right now.
Everything but your execution was there.
Well, I ran JML Barris against Amidala literally multiple times in the past, but for whatever reason, it was just like I had no time to play, so I just slapped in JKR instead of Barris.
Mm-hmm.
And lost Amidala that way, and then couldn't clear.
Yeah. I
All
can see
good.
that.
Shit happens.
Yep. For sure.
We do a little self-sabotage.
That's really most of what losing is, I think, these days. Is I think I got it, I don't got it.
Man, I love hearing you guys say that it's not my fault I lost. It's fantastic. Not you, Fatal, just Taz. Mostly just Taz being like, yeah.
How did you hear that?
No, what you just said, it's like...
I said sometimes like you're shooting yourself in the foot. Like, who else am I blaming but me? Yeah.
No, I'm just saying the way you framed it initially when you're like... The way it came off to me, at least, was, yeah, it's not my fault, it was RNG.
Didn't say that at all.
That's how it came off to me. Sorry, I just thought that was funny.
It's a very specific way for it to come off. All right. Well, guys, let's get right into it. Meta-analysis. So, at the end of the last 5 vs. 5 season, we had Tales of Woe and Valor against Galactic Legend Ahsoka. We'll kick off, this first week of 3 vs. 3 with the same. I will tell you this. I did a Leia Drogon R2 against a Ahsoka Exile Ezra and who was it? Padawan Sabine. And guys, let me pull that one up for you. I think if you missed that one, I think it's worth highlighting how that went. Opening up the VOD right now. Ba-ba-ba-da-ba-ba. First John Leia. There it is. And
I've seen Leia be hit, I don't say hit or miss, but it seems reasonable.
Yeah, well, it wasn't pure insanity for me to try. All right, you guys are seeing this now?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is with a... What was it? I just had it up on the screen. Yeah, so it was a set... set 19. Bulk. Anyway, just watch what transpires here now.
Definitely gonna watch because I have questions.
Oh yeah, by all means, watch. Watch us. Just yep. We're all having a normal one.
What was the Datacron you were fighting against?
That is the Galactic Legend Ahsoka level 9.
What are the stats?
As I recall, they weren't anything incredible.
Well, you can check on .gg what it is.
So
Yeah,
I
could. We can look at it.
I
All right, I think you got the gist. So yes.
So I want to ask one for the people of the show because it's widely known. Have you seen Arnold's video? Is my first one.
No, I don't believe I have.
Hold on. I'm not going to give it away. Just go watch the video. 1. 2. Fatal, what are your takes on the situation? Because you had takes on Ahsoka, and huge advocate because Fatal called out concerns. He said certain things. That's 2. And 3, you brought up a good point in the plotting and scheming content. If you are not putting ATF on your Ahsoka, which then you need Leia. I'm just going to say, do not put GLAT on defense because you will get cheesed out. So, I would ask Fatal to be the man of the hour to give more details about it. But if you haven't seen it, basically Magma Trooper beats GLAT, and that's in 3s.
Really. Kind of.
Well, I'm still saying even in guild.
Let's hear about it. Let's stop dancing around it. Let's hear about it. What's the details?
So basically, you can cheese the shit out of Blatt without ATF on the team. So the Kron to stop it from every other turn. If you set the Kron correctly.
We're going to rewind slightly. We're going to refer to her as Ahsoka on this show, please.
Sure. I don't give a shit the name. I don't care about the name. I care about the cheese. The cheese is delicious.
Tell us all about it.
Magma, with the right setup, is basically looping Ahsoka, so the Glatt, whatever you want to call it, to the point of death.
Right.
I don't care.
To clarify for that counter, though, in 3s, there's... Yes, certainly if there's Fulcrum Ahsoka Tano, it's hard stopped. And then if there's General Syndulla there, in 3s, you're taking a lot of RNG because shield odds are get to go ahead of you, and if she fractures your Magma, then game over. But otherwise, it's melt. It's Magma melt time.
But we'll take Nine Sisters against Jabba, and if they hit your your Lady of Death, then you lose too.
But you can game plan around getting her hit with tenacity and bulk. You can't really game plan around like the 33% chance that Hera just tells your Magma to go fuck himself.
I don't disagree, but I still laugh that Magma beats Galactic Legend.
Yeah.
Very funny. Very funny.
So wait, if I'm hearing this correctly, originally, TJ, you're saying Fulcrum would be the tech against this cheese, but also Hera. I'm hearing that Hera could be used instead. Is that correct?
Yeah. This specific version of Ahsoka is one of the weaker versions of Ahsoka, because it lacks the ability to lock down interactive pieces on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay. Is there, about this Hera-based defense, is there a Kron orientation that's best? Are we looking at Ahsoka level 9? Are we looking at crit avoidance level 6? Like, what are we doing here?
You're just putting her there to disincentivize them from walking their Magma Trooper into a possible fracture.
Sure, no debate there. Just Kron-wise, is there anything?
I'm saying the setup is whatever you have on your Kron that you're going to use with Ahsoka, regardless.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just putting her there as the. You remember the Traya versus Gungans thing, where if Traya got Death Mark, you lost.
Mm-hmm.
It's that thing, right? It's the you have a 33% chance to just lose on the spot.
Yeah, right. I dig that. Okay.
Yeah, but you can take non-Leia and still potentially beat Ahsoka. The brand new toy.
I mean, that's not the worst thing. I mean, when Jabba came out, it was losing to a bunch of random shit.
Yeah, sure.
When Leia came out, she was losing to GG Stab.
But this is including. But I'm just saying, with Datacron, all I'm telling you is that is still a pretty hefty thing to have brand new toy with Datacron get handled.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm just saying that Leia with the Drogon Con was getting smashed by GG Stab, which hasn't done anything since GG Stab. I shouldn't say any. It hasn't done much. All I'll say is this regarding it. I think that this is a nice little puzzle where the people who listen to this shows like this, not specifically us,
True.
but the people who put in the effort to look will know not to set teams like this, and will know that they need to take their Magma to R7 next week and put like reasonable mods on him. Because your R5 with like 5E dipshit mods is not meaning anything.
No, yes, I would also, yes, great asterisk, I would put it in. You don't get to bring in somebody base minimum that gets to use the level 9, and then that works. No, and that is not being said on this store.
Offensively, we're talking, what's the team that we're using with Magma?
Veers and Sortie, basically.
It's going to be Veers, Sortie, Magma, and you would have to have VIP on Magma.
Yes, and then you do want the level 3 that calls out getting the buffs. The level 6 is irrelevant from what I've seen.
This is going to be really good in 5s probably because you can add Shore.
Yes.
And then
And the other thing that it does in 5s is you can throw in MJ, and at that point you've got useful pawn, and you go first. So the RNG from Hera is removed.
Well, I believe Magma has the same bug that he has against Leia, for fortunate or unfortunate for the counter reasons. So I haven't seen the counter played, but it might be time to finally put the Magma. I didn't mind it too much against Leia. It was kind of cute. It wasn't Leia's. Oh yeah, no, it's the exact same thing. It's probably because of the cooldown manipulation.
I laugh at the fatal thing. Okay, I let this bug go, so I didn't put it in, and now fatal, you bastard! Don't kill the joys of the funny. It's a good thing.
Also, for those of you who know, I just did something and chuckled to myself because I'm an idiot. I just almost checked to see what relic my Magma was at.
Look, man, he's getting the bunch of Terminator for. Or actually, no, it might be from Amidala. I might be fucking up. Anyway, no, he's bugged. And like, it wasn't really a problem for Leia worth reporting, but now, like, if it was a problem here.
It's tied with it. It's definitely tied with the item. If you go watch it, and it's something you may not have seen. It's bad, man.
Okay, but like in 3v3 without Short though, like, is he getting preloaded just going first because of the bug, or is it that he's like, are you playing the normal video game and then the moment that he gets to take a turn, you loop?
Once he takes,
it's the moment he takes a turn. That's right. So it's conditioned on his survival and him not being. The assumption that General Syndulla is going first, then it's also that she does not choose to fracture him. He, because of that Spectre Squad and the true damage done on turn meter gain, you end up with a Magma that is at 1 health the entire time. That is auto basicing.
Yeah, you don't kill him because remember, it doesn't kill him, so he's VIP.
It works in 3 versus 5 too. I've done it in arena.
Look, man. CJ Prince loop grounds all the time. The fact that it beats the new GL isn't really noteworthy to me. The thing that I've been going through this past week, and I think will kind of highlight the season for me, is, we went through the Ahsoka release on this show, and I stated some opinions, and then, people tested with Omicron, they're like, oh my god, this team is insane, how could anybody say it's bad? And I don't know, man, I, got there my first week here, and boy howdy, the TW Omicrons for this team are quite good. That feels like a pretty new top billing team. You have to respect it. But boy howdy, Ezra Bridger's Omicrons get shut off real easy if you look at the right way and solve it the right way. And my feeling, the moment that the testing came out, people were like, okay, this is like an Omicron-based team. I can understand it. Ezra's Omicrons are very selfish. I know how to shut them down now. It came way sooner than I was hoping, and the team just looks kind of shit to me, to the point where I assume we'll talk about it a bit, but the angle that I'm pushing for this week is I think I could beat that team with Sith Eternal, non-Bane. And it's not Datacron dependent, so, maybe Magma is the thing people do this season, but regardless of whether that Datacron exists or not, Bane just shuts Ezra the fuck off, and that team just ceases to exist past that point, and it's kind of sad.
I got you.
Yeah, I definitely think that the power of this team has been on offense, and I have seen a lot of people talk about how it's oppressive on defense, etc. But I agree with Phelan in the sense that I think that the puzzle got solved with this really quick. Man, I'm thinking back to like Leia and Jabba's releases because they were the last two GLs, and I don't think they were solved quite this quick. But within one season, we had counters.
It was definitely because they printed Marin around that time. I want to say that it was just like.
So Stap was the thing that they made. Yeah, Marin during Jabba, Stap versus during Leia. Yeah.
But like, yeah, I don't know. I think the reason why Ahsoka's release has been very polarizing is because I think this feels like the first Omicron-based galactic legend, and that sits kind of weird. And I think you kind of have to view all the conversations around that fact. And then once you do that, then I will say to their credit, Ezra's backup plan, the revive Omicron, is also not working right now.
Oh my god, dude, this is so sad. That is like literally the Omicron.
Oh, I also think that there's a little bit of a letdown. Similar to Lord Vader, how Lord Vader felt so expensive for his day. This was 3, technically 5 marquees, but 2 of them you should have had 7-star in time. And then 3 R9s. This is by far, this might be more expensive than every GL. Like, almost combined to a degree, right? Like, the level of relish you needed for this unlock was staggeringly higher than everything else. And I think that might be part of the letdown as well, is that the people who did get her put in a shit ton of work to get her. And to have her, like, not feel overly oppressive. And I honestly think Ezra's a better character than her. I know I said this before, but I think Ezra is just better than her.
I said the phrase Ezra is the GL in the last week.
I think everybody, but I think it's a universal sentiment from everybody that literally Ezra is.
This is very much JMK. Yeah, this is very much feels JMK Cat in a sense because like JMK doesn't really exist without Cat. Except I think, obviously, except I think JMK Cat is better tuned AI, etc., etc. But yeah, this team doesn't feel. I'm super high on offense. Like I know Phelan and I have kind of gone back and forth on that a little bit, but I think this team on offense is fucking ridiculous.
No, to be clear, I think this is one of the most fun teams to play that I've ever made. Like just straight up, not even.
Yeah, this team is actually pushing the buttons is a blast. The animations, the damage, watch your things go poof. A little bit. Oh man, once Fatal turned me on to Harry's Unique, I'm like, oh, this team is fun.
Yes, dude, like their design was fucking like I will geek the fuck out about how fun it is to play offense, and then as a defense theory crafter, I could immediately turn around to the diamond and be like, but man, we've had teams in the past where you could, if you manipulate the stats correctly and like who's strongest on the team, who's weakest, you can like manipulate the AI, because that's the thing is. I think that's why it was such a letdown to me when she first came out, is because you look at the kids, you understand them, and you're like, holy shit, like, this is fun as hell. And then the fact that the defense AI is so...
I watched Ezra not remove Exile from himself for 3 turns.
Yeah, dog, yep.
Absolutely dumbest shit ever. Ezra just sat there being a potato for 2 turns.
Okay.
So, like, we don't have to harp on it, but that's...
Yeah, sorry.
It's lost the potential of like men. It would have been so fun to theory craft this team defensively if we just had like Ray levels of determinism.
Okay, so safe to say that for the most part you did keep her for offense. So sounds like neither you nor Dagger have a position you want to take about like an ideal defensive composition.
Oh no, I posted her on defense.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, yeah, you still have to make your opponent beat.
Well, what do you guys think is a good setup on her, having had some experience?
So ironically, I started off last week posting generals and Dula, and then in match 2, it got one shot, which like not too surprising. In match 2, I became worried about Sith Eternal, so I swapped to Sabine. And like seeing that Leia clip, it's like, yeah, okay, Sabine is putting out some pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking value proposition for weeks 2+. Yeah, you would probably, like, you don't care if you lose the Leia, you care if you lose the Magna, so, like, probably Citadel. becomes more correct in that case.
Yeah. But Crom-wise, you're thinking it would have to be, since that composition, you're just going to be running with Ahsoka's then.
Yeah, I have like Fulcrum off doing their own thing.
Dig it. Okay.
Yeah. I'm in a position in GAC. I mean, we've joked about it in the past. I'm fighting more real-ish opponents. Whatever. Fuck you guys. But yeah, I put Sabine there with the Sabine Cron because I can just jam Hera, Chopper, Huyang in the back as just a filler team, just so I can overkill whatever they set now that they're making me actually clear their board.
Fair.
Actually, so if we're talking Fulcrum Magma, sorry, just before I forget this.
No, go.
What's stopping Sortie from face tanking Fulcrum? Can Fulcrum actually brute force through a proper health Sortie? Because is the Magma self damage proccing the VIP self? Is it once he's in stealth, he's staying there? Or is it
correct? At least, I've only done it a couple of times in Arena, but it's a perma stealth. And then, it does become a question of whether, Sortie's robust enough to handle repeated ATF volleys. And so it does take Magma quite a while. Maybe it's 3 minutes on basic auto. So
if
you
go high in Dustin Sortie with Tenacity to try to block out buff immunity, you actually might still be able to make that counter preserved, even against Fulcrum. Okay. I guess you'd be fucking terrified of Magma before he's in stealth, but, roll the dice.
Okay. Well, any other notes you guys had on Ahsoka before we move on? Appreciate that.
Sorry, go ahead, Fatal. I'll join after you.
No, I was just going to tag what was mentioned earlier, which is, C-Bane. The difference between C and C-Bane right now is the Tauntagor on first link. I'm not necessarily advocating for C-Tanks without Bane yet, but if you want the easy kill, Sith Eternal, Bane gives them the Tauntagor, and, Sith Eternal literally shuts off all 3 Omicrons. It's, the freest fucking win of your life, so if you're not equipped for Magma this week, or if you're just looking for lazy free shit,
I will convey watching Fatal do it and then doing the same thing as a joy. Joy, if you don't use Bane anywhere else, is free money. And that's exactly what it feels like.
And if you have a 50% health cron, you could probably do it with C.
Yeah, so the thing with C right now, I'm probably just going to slap it. Actually, here's what I'll say. If you're fighting against something like C, Ezra, Sabine, because Ahsoka has a pre-taunt, you have to link her, plus I would assume you would do Sabine. So Ezra runs free. I would not slap a health cron, because the majority of Ezra's output is the percent health damage.
Which she doesn't take?
Well, C doesn't take, but if we're talking just chilling behind the tanks.
I'm thinking set Watt, but yeah.
There's 2 ways you could go, which is... depending on how you feel about Enoch, I think C-Enoch is very fucking well positioned here. That I can't link Ezra. Who cares? He can't credit anyway.
Yeah.
Secondary option. I think you just go 2 protection loaded tanks with pure defense. That's what I'm going to be doing for this week with Set Zion, and just try to stonewall slap him out. Grab a protection, set 18 if you can. But yeah, I think you have the choice between, do I let Ezra rock for a few turns and he'll exile tank and that's okay, and he'll do some percent health damage to a tank and that's not ideal, but you've got 2 hopefully big medium that you can just sit behind, and by the time that your link's back up, you should just be chilling. But if anyone's interested in trying that, I still have to test it, so don't take it as law, but if you want the free guaranteed win, just Bane.
I've used in Arena a couple of times with C plus Watt and 3 tanks. So, I believe it has legs and breeze.
I want to make sure Sasha used to go, but I just want to hashtag out what Fatal said. So many things. Big meeting men and hashtag CNOC 2025. CNOC is amazing.
I like it.
I've got Enoch lead on defense, so I'm do I want to figure out a 15th other team? I'm not like Enoch is amazing, or I'm not like Enoch Lead is amazing, but I'm just lazy.
Just the fact that it's Enoch and no one said it, hashtag here, found here first.
Right.
You get the P&S with the hashtag Enoch.
Yeah, I mean, some of us are better coming up with catchphrases than others.
Sasha, I want to make sure you get the
Yeah, let's let the man get the word in.
Sasha,
No worries.
5 minutes of uninterrupted.
Good content, guys. But I was just going to say on the Spectre team, I mean, one of the things that's just bouncing around my mind is sort of the dilemma with Fulcrum, because I really love the character with this DC, and it's a little frustrating for me that like she has to be deployed with GL Ahsoka if you want to ensure that this magma crab won't be run on you, because I like her in so many other comps. I just think she's interesting. She just makes some pretty bland combos spicy, and particularly with like some really cool UFU combos floating around, or even Rebel combos. So I'm disappointed that she's got to be there.
So wait, are you saying that Hera is insufficient to block it? Because I thought that was one of our outcomes here. Because I was looking forward to that.
Hera is an RNG role, right? Like if General Syndulla is with Ahsoka, then you've got a 1/3 shot that she fractures magma, and if she fractures anybody else, then it's rolled by magma. So, and that's probably enough. If you put it bottom front wall, most people aren't going to willingly take a 1/3 shot. They just fall flat on their face against GL. But it's not a hard stop for sure. Yeah, sure. It's just sort of risk prohibitive. But the other thing that I was going to add, though, and like I said, this is something I want to get into a little bit later, is I was really curious to see, like we talked about, like Ezra is a fantastic character. I mean, tremendous as a lifter and versatile. Like this, it doesn't have to be Ahsoka's lifter. That one of the squads that I ran into with Baby Yoda, in fact, one I was alluding to before, was a General Syndulla, Ezra, and Padawan Sabine squad that with a not surprisingly very well tuned Padawan Sabine DC, and it's a surprisingly great squad. And go that sort of principle, like maybe this is a good set or a good meta to go very wide. If you had that as roughly your 15th and defense set on a 3v3 board, I think it's much better than that. But you have it sort of in that maybe bottom quartile of apparent strength defenses. It'll surprise the hell out of a lot of people. It's just it's a bummer that if one were to do that, there's a good shot you've got a GL that can just be a cakewalk for the 12th best Imperial trooper in the game. So anyway, that was my take, but we'll get into some of that a little bit more.
Yeah, no worries. Appreciate that. All right, guys. Next topic. The Great Mothers, one of the titans of defense for the last several seasons during the duration of Set 17. From everything I'm hearing, it's a serious fall from grace. During my own stream, I had folks in the chat saying that, Tass, do you have DR, BSF, Malik? It's like 57 banners against Great Mothers now. Doesn't matter the composition, apparently. And then TJ echoed the same. TJ, what do you got to say about this? Because I haven't experienced this in the wild yet.
I heard it and got to see it. Again, I'm going to keep commenting. That's why you have your content creators out there. Zareth tried it because he looked at it. They brought it up on Arnold's stream. He did Malgus. And Malgus, in my opinion, dies harder than Darth Revan. In trying it myself, my round 3. So again, it was not a nobody. It was properly set. It had good health and protection. It was a setup with spirit. So you think, oh, that's scary. It's just clean, easy 57s, in my opinion, and nothing you want to put on defense for Darth Revan to kill.
Now, I saw some chat on Discord today about if BSF somehow gets focused down early, the jig is up. Are you aware of fail points? Is it just absolute? Because I hear it's brain dead, but then if it can lose, how is it really brain dead?
So to me, it depends, because I watched Zareth called it out in his video or in his stream, which I thought was interesting. He's like, well, normally BSF, I guess that's what's been going on. His Darth Revan got linked, And in my opinion, that's even better because you're not going to get multi-hits from anybody. It's just one person attacking you, right? My BSF got linked. I took the bulk cron, what I looked at for the standpoint seems to be the best thing for
You
him.
mean doomed? Yeah, doomed.
Well, no, I'm saying I took the dark side bulk. I took that, so the 50% health and protection to tie it off, and you're also mitigating them with BSF special and doing other things to stop them. I never saw it once come through at that point. Nobody ever went and really attacked BSF past the link. I'm sure it can, like anything else, but didn't feel that way at all. I'd be
So
interested
you're
to see
saying
if the
BSF does get doomed, but they chose not to focus her.
They didn't stay on her because also you have to remember that coming in is Malik trying to prevent that, and at one point Mothers gets death marked and that just stops that, and never did I ever feel like it was anything or scary, and we'll definitely be trying again because again I wasn't fighting nobodies. I fought 14 million players and we did all that, and it was enough for you to want to do again, in my opinion.
Okay.
For me, talking about the players, I would just say that I think the majority of us here won't have that problem because I only heard of people with like R5 or R6 basilisks getting punked out. So I don't know how much that affects, the rest of us who have a presumably R8 plus.
Okay. Yep.
I was just saying, I have not seen this counter used, but in like trying to interpret the raw data that I'm seeing here from .gg, it's interesting because it does look like wow, like kind of all these indications about hard counter. But when you dig a little bit deeper, if you add a 25% turn meter at start of battle for the Night Sisters, so making it seem like hey maybe they get the initiative and they make the first move, which presumably their fastest is Morgan with a mass assist, it drops down from like 90+% down to 70% success rate, which does sound like it might be kind of conditional based on who's focused, like where the target goes on that initial move. To your point, Dagger, that goes from 70
mass assist Dark Revan, which is good.
Right, exactly. Well, and if they mass assist Malik, you're probably doing just fine out of that anyway.
Yeah.
Like you're probably going to survive that. So it does kind of look like that. Just reading the data and kind of assuming what might be happening. That if they move first and they target BSF, that would be my read of the data.
That's a lot to take into a cake, though.
Well, I don't know, man. I take a kind of low view of it. I can be the contrarian for this segment. So before I even say anything, let me start with. I know that it kind of has the psychic damage effect of like, man, this team loses to DR lead, but I have fucked around with trying to split off DR and Malgus in the past, and like have my KK to do. And my experience is that Malgus without the supporting staff, unless it's like a very specific matchup that you're like very comfortable with, Malgus without his supporting crew is kind of a dire affair in a lot of cases. So like, if we're just talking cost right off the bat, they're saving Malgus, but I would argue that unless something pops up and your defense just has a hole in it, they're not actually saving Malgus. So right off the bat, I would say they actually are spending Malgus in spirit here.
Really quick, have you not, I don't know what the stats are on this, but things I have done in the past is doing like Assassin, Marauder versus Enoch teams and DTMG teams that don't have OG Gideon.
Yeah, also I don't respect those teams. Those are
JKL will walk over them.
Yeah.
That's fair. I guess I'm just saying, like, I have found uses for it, whether it be like Zori, things like that. I do get what you're saying though about the team, about Malgus being like not particularly useful without specifically Darth Revan.
If I see those teams on defense, I'm like, oh, this is a serious defense. They're like just counting the 15 with filler.
Yeah, I have the same reaction, and not only that, like it takes that defensive squad, a Malik squad that doesn't have DR and Malik with it. It takes it off top tier. I feel like I can go on the cheap.
Well,
and then the other situation when you try to
what are you going on?
JKL, HY, and Jolie.
Okay.
I have seen this. Yes.
Okay.
It's remarkably easy. And then the flip side of it, Fatal will hand it right back to you. Sorry to jump on this, but
we've had to talk over you like 10 times. What the fuck are you talking about?
That's right. Sit down, gentlemen. This is going to be a while. No, but it was having Malgus on offense and saying, "Oh well, why don't I split up my Sith efficiently and get multiple attack teams?" The stats on a Malgus non-DR offensive squad are really bad. Like it's depressing to see what they can take out comfortably. So anyway, yeah, back to your point because I totally agree with you.
Well, it's a couple of things. Because I think I actually ran the DR counter to Grey Mothers myself, and it really feels like we're kind of in this stage right now where Grey Mothers are getting carried by a Datacron, and their carry is gone, and so now it's a question of, well, what are you willing to put into them, and what are you hoping to get out of them? So, like, my Grey Mothers were not the highest investment in week 1, but I can tell you that knowing full well that DR existed since that time, I've put an R9 on Morgan, I've put an Omicron on Morgan. As it was mentioned, we've got the TM preload right now, and so I think there's a tug of war between going over and going under, because naturally speaking, Grey Mothers have a speed lead and a natural speed advantage that Morgan will just go first. And I believe, based on the mechanics, Morgan, with her Omicron, that I did not know until like a week ago. Apparently, it auto-procs frenzy out of the people. Apparently, Luthen Omicron also does that. Didn't know that. That's kind of fucking crazy. That sounds wrong, but it's apparently just normal.
No, I didn't know that either.
Well, the something about, like, you remember the Trey unique back in the day where it executes before her turn starts, kind of thing. I think the frenzy gets put out before the special gets used or something. Or the special triggers it and it gives frenzy before the air quotes trigger of the special goes. I don't know.
It doesn't proc herself, but it procs other people, which is apparently also true for how Luthen's works. And so,
yeah,
I'm not complaining. If anything, makes me respect the Omicron more. So anyway, where I'm going with this is, I think Great Mothers, I'm not necessarily saying that they'll go anywhere, but I'm posting them full well, hoping that my opponents use DR so I can just collect more data. I'm going triple defense set, I'm going 4x protection, because I think if you don't get that free death mark as well, if your team does not go gently, I think it raises some interesting questions for, like, okay, well, how easily are you going to close out if Drain doesn't drain all that much and Death Mark doesn't present itself willingly? You've got yourself more of a classic brawl, because if there's one thing Dark Hermit is not all that great at, it's brawling. That team strips its own defense, that team doesn't have crazy amount of sustain. We're kind of Malgus pilled these days, where Force Storm is like a crazy good heal tool. And so, I don't know. I'm kind of here in the vein of I'm rolling my gloves and looking to brawl with DR, and then even if it does trade for DR, I think I'm actually pretty okay with posting them anyway.
Also, seeing some of these fails, you want your Malik to be slower than DR. If your Malik is faster than DR, like, it's kind of like just not doing anything for you.
I'm only going to say,
because you want to be able to fear, and then you want Malik to be able to go and dispel the taunt and shock Morgan.
So I'm only going to echo actually a couple of things that Fatal said. Actually doing the fight and just going in blind and seeing what it was doing and all of that. The call on Malik's pull is a great one from Fatal. That was part of the success of the fight, was not only the death mark, but the pull. So the other piece that he's right is Darth Vader team definitely does not, with the lead, it's great with mechanics, what you're doing, but does not want the brawl. So everything you said, I would take notes. So hold on, let me say it real quick. I just want to say, getting to do it. What Fatal said, I'm calling it out if you're watching it here. Note those asterisks. The pull was a huge piece, especially on Morgan. That was part of the huge success from what I've seen and tried, and not wanting to brawl. Because I kept trying to keep them under the debuff so the damage would be reduced. Those felt like key pieces. So, Fatal, I am hugely interested in what the mechanics will do for you making those changes. And the pull not working.
So are you saying to prop build Great Mothers too, because the way that the death mark? Because of the death mark?
Yep.
Okay. I just had to follow up. Because I think it's general consensus that Morgan is better in prop than health.
Yeah, probably.
just because she doesn't revive, so you just want that prot to be as thick as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, Great Mothers has a bunch of health multipliers, so I know up until now the conventional wisdom has been to health modder, which does make her very susceptible to DR, both through Deathmark and the drain from Malik.
Yeah, they've got like, it's weird because like, again, 2024 CG, you can't read it once. You gotta, to keep you on your toes, you gotta like open up a few SOH.GG tabs and read a couple kits. It's like, she's got health boosters, but then I think like Morgan has like 50% protection as well, so it's like, yeah, like, you're right that the health ratios are getting boosted. That can kind of offset the protection primaries, but I think I haven't actually like added all the numbers together, but I think Morgan's unique might actually. Okay, it's like plus 60% health, plus 50% protection. It looks like so. A little bit break positive towards health, but I still think the protection money will be worthwhile. That's a good shot, though.
Yeah, I think my current position for her primaries is whatever you can get faster with best overall secondaries for a tank. Like,
I think this DR thing skews me definitely towards not that thought process.
well, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, so you should skew towards. Well, I mean, I was already more towards protection, but
I would sacrifice a handful of speed just for the prot. I think, just because I think that's going to be more important. Because especially with the plus 25%, she doesn't. If you're trying to brick specifically this counter, the 25% is going to get you out in front, regardless of basically the speed of your Morgan.
No, well, the opponent's going to bring 25%, right? So you're really actually looking at a Morgan versus DR speed race. And I agree that, like, I like the idea of optimizing. If we really think the main predator out there on the plains is DR, then moving to prot, because that certainly makes it harder to take it down. And then, you know, I guess looking at what a reasonable expectation of what your opponent's DR speed would be. And that's one of those, if you hit 360 on your Morgan, you're great.
Well, DR doesn't get a speed boost, and Morgan gets plus 30 from Great Mothers. So they're already just like a whole head above in the speed race.
And I'm seeing here a couple losses. So, I'm looking at .gg on the screen right now, and you know, some of these folks attacking are going in with, you know, Relic 5 or less BSF, so I'm not entirely surprised. But in some of these fights, where they're not just getting outright stomped because of lack of relics, this 25% turn meter on the Great Mother's Cron is not... it looks like there might be something to that. I think I might try and run that.
Go to Insight and filter it by like R8s on the attacking team and defense team.
Yeah.
Just give yourself an idea.
And that's what I did, actually. The numbers I shared, Dagger, that's 78%.
I'm seeing 91.6 right now on 24 attempts. So that's only with... Yeah, I mean, let's take a look at some of these. Let's see what the losses look like. All right, so these are with Spirit. Here's against a turn meter. This one's against a set 18. And the way I have this filtered otherwise is Relic 7 plus Defender, Relic 8 plus Attacker. Has a defending Datacron, but I didn't specify which, and I did specify them having the Morgan Omicron. So, with those filters in place, 91.67% with DR, and the only losses, let's see. So, this one didn't have any health besides the bulk. This one.
Price or price, skill rating?
I think I had Cairo unchecked. Yeah, Div 1.
No, like when you're viewing battles.
Yeah, I'm not usually looking at that.
Yeah, in the top right, you can like. Yeah.
And what am I looking at here?
It's sorting top down by SR, so like, you know.
We'll do it by descending,
but
yeah.
Oh.
There you go.
Yeah. So that's like top of the leaderboard playing first, and then it just kind of, you know.
Yeah, okay. I see your point. Sorting by...
That's a nice setting to have. I've been fiddling with that.
Okay, yeah. Learn something new every day. I don't really use that feature, so fair.
Yeah, this looks relatively good as you're looking at it. It's like 45 seconds to 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yep. Looks like, yeah, and that meets expectations. It looks like if you can have some health on the Kron with it being a bulk level 3, that seems to be the way.
Also, DR is not trying to have 3.5-minute fights like Fatal has said. And
Well, no,
TJ
see, I spoke too soon. Here's a set 19. Just blowing right through.
Yeah, but that's also 35% prot.
Yeah, but it's also outrunning somebody who's not having that. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So to that end, I'm kind of on the fence right now of kind of. I said before, but to explain it is, I think it's a major question of who wants to be over, who wants to be under. Because I think if you're not doing 25% DM on Grey Mothers, if it turns out that Darth Revan is comfortable into that, then I think Balin Kron is definitely. Everyone's Balin Kron is fucking different because. We've already had the conversation. My Balin Kron happens to have a lot of bulk stats on it, so my Balin Kron is kind of like my only decent bulk Kron.
Oh, samesies.
Nice.
Oh.
No, I have one of those ones that Sasha talked about where it's like casually 350% offense, so it's still on, right?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
All right, guys.
That's horrible.
I haven't used my Balin Kron with Balin yet.
Wow, really? Okay.
No, because in Arena I have. I'm talking about like in GAC because it just sits on Ray. Like, have fun with my 35k offense Ray or whatever she's at.
Yeah, in the Ben, dude. I can already imagine the Ben.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Any other new? Well, I guess we can talk about this in the best attack and defense. I mean, I'm just curious. We'll start that now. Just on a high level, though, I wonder if you guys encountered any new, what you would consider meta defenses. I guess we've already discussed a couple new meta counters with this DR thing versus Grey Mothers. And apparently this Magma Trooper thing versus GL Ahsoka. So what else? What else have you heard about the high level before we get into our own individual matches? Anything? Anything in particular?
We have too much for offense, nothing matters.
Yeah, okay.
Old stuff working again was great.
Like what?
If you're going on the old, don't push JMK because BKM is back to stomp that ass.
Oh my God.
I mean, to keep it like they try to put JMK in the back, and they're like, BKM used to work. Let's see. There's nothing surviving that. So as high as JMK pushes, I can just BKM you. And if you're not placing LV or whatever else, it's like, okay, that's free money. And that was a free 57. And then also Treya. Gidbay's back to stomp assholes, and it's like Treya's punching way up, in my opinion, right now. And for Gidbay to come back, and I'm like, this was Savage lead for me, I think. And I'm like, let me just try this to see if it works again. And no problem, sir. It's
Treya's
back
a super clean attack, I agree.
And plus, we talked about it.
Yeah.
The only thing I want to ask is, Go ahead, Dad.
I'm sorry. I was saying, when you mentioned Lord Vader, say on principle, because of a couple of friends of the show, I refuse to use Boa on Lord Vader, so I just use JML. And the fact that works without a Procron, like, that's what TJ was saying, like, you have so many fucking options these days. Bo beating JMK. I watched Fatal beat, like, an underpowered Ahsoka team with Bo. That's probably not actually consistent, but
it was non-ult. I think it was on ult.
But the only thing I want to add back to the piece before I get cut off again, I'm going to take my mic back for Dagger. This fucking guy, the cutoff king. All right, so don't forget, we talked about it here. You have the 25% Kron, so it's free money on now. I don't care who you are. You're getting automatically gets to go first. So you automatically get to play the game. So it's like posting that out and putting that setup to me, a free 57, and these things are can kill GL or something else. So just adding that piece to it. Dagger, you can have the mic back now. I'm done.
Good.
Sorry, I just have one question for Fatal because you brought up the TM thing. Do you still get plus 25% TM if you go against the Hux team? Is that thing still, like, broken?
Are you talking Hux on defense?
Yeah.
So normally the answer would be yes, but I want to say that back when Hux came out, there was some weirdness that they might have given Hux like a special coding.
Okay. I thought they gave that setup that rule doesn't get applied to Hux. If you have anything TM.
It's something about when he has advantage, they can't gain turn meter or something like that.
Yeah, so
then when he enters, he gains turn meter, but if you enter with turn meter, sometimes you load in first.
Yeah, so historically, like, you know, when we're talking like set 16 era, there was a bunch of situations where like the attacker side advantage because you load in your effects first. gets to work before their blockers get to kick in. So in that respect, the answer is technically yes. The only reason why I'm saying no is because like my memory is not that good, but I want to say that there was lore that when Hux came out, people were complaining about, well, I posted Hux and this still went first, and then so CG had to go like code some specific shit that like
Yeah, because
maybe
JPR
Hux works.
BB-8 R2 was beating it because the BB-8 preload.
Yes, yeah. Fucking thank you. He might have an exception coded in, but on
Okay.
average, yes, the attacker side gets favoritism.
Okay.
There was a phrase earlier, I think Fatal had mentioned it, of saying, like, when you look at all the kits and you look at the mechanics in SWGOH, you kind of read it, but then you go a level deeper. And that's exactly a learning that I've got through years of this game. In that when I read, like, just literally on its face, the Datacron level 3, it says that dark side characters start the battle with 25%. It's not that they gain 25% at the beginning. It's on its face. It's like they should start. However, that's why. So you read it, but then you actually have to observe it in play. That is not how it works. And I tested that because I figured, okay, what's an optimal test? A JMK squad, right? Because you can't gain bonus turn meter. But you go in against a JMK squad, you do not have 25% turn meter. You do not actually start with it.
Okay.
It's considered gain in match.
Okay, good to know. Thanks for confirming that.
Also, do we know if this procs, like, for example, let's just run down a couple of things. Do we know if this actually does something if you go against DTMG? Does he see this?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then does this reduce the health and protection of Slacker?
I would assume so, but I don't know.
That definitely, because that would
Okay.
be same side listening, so yeah, 100%.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's all. I just, because I always know that there's these, like, interesting things. I remember we had this, I don't know if it was you and I, or we had it in Gambit or whatever, but there was a similar conversation with the 20% per weakest or whatever about how that worked, and how that coded, but yeah. Sorry. All the layers of this game are just, this game is infinitely complex for a game you play while you poop.
It hasn't been that kind of game for me for
a
long time. Long time. This game takes way too much time. You lose feeling in your legs. You would be wheelchair bound. Your legs would have fallen off. Like a couple years ago. Sorry.
On that note, fun fact: if you play this game on your computer, the PC client will tell you how long you've played Swugga for.
It's true.
How many hours?
It's true.
Does it really? I didn't know that.
It does, yeah. Oh, yeah, it'll say it right there on the cover for it. But, okay. All right, so let's go ahead and dig into our particulars then, guys. On attack, I had... I don't think I'd used Balin much at all on offense since he came out. I decided that, in case I ran into that Ray Fulcrum nastiness and I wasn't feeling particularly confident with Starkiller, particularly since I said... Seer Malikos on defense, so I didn't even have the strongest Starkiller team to fall back on if I felt like I needed to. Balin was fun. I wanted to show you guys this real quick. I promise you, it won't take long. But I wanted you all to experience the joy of this moment with me.
Oh, you did the thing that Fatal and I told you to do, like, years ago?
I'm not saying I came up with it. I'm saying I'd finally tried it. Now watch this. Just wait. Just wait.
I watched this in front of my team. It fucking sucks.
Just get nothing. So
that's why I have a fucking 337 speed bed solo with crit damage modding.
Fair. It's fair. Yeah,
now,
that was grotesque. So,
Fredo, why do you got to be over here pooping on his parade?
No,
He's over here loving it.
This is exactly what people would want to know. You don't want to see Balin do all that. Maybe you need to put.
I'm not shitting on him. I'm traumatized. This is my traumatic.
You want to know what trauma is? Watching Fatal beat Ray in like less than that amount of time with Starkiller last week.
Fair.
Like, it was 30 seconds. Less. I mean, might not even made it 30 seconds. Like, that shit was just... And then Fatal said, it said this team's really good on defense or some shit like that after he beat it. I'm like, some snarky comment. Mm-hmm. So, it was fantastic.
So, yeah, I mean, this was, just obviously a stomp on attack. Let me see it. Some other really good lessons learned, though. Let me go back to my page here. Yeah, Mother tells him, man, this guy just had an insane amount of tenacity on his Chrysanthemum, such that I wasn't plaguing this character at all. Hey, little one, what are you doing?
I was lazy about scouting Enos versus Jabba until I fought against one high Tyasir crowd, and I was like, fuck, fine, I'll look for every match. So now I do a tenacity check. But, like...
But let me just say this real quick. Like, I remember it was you, I think, or maybe it was somebody else, but I was hearing a lot of feedback last 3 vs 3 season that a crit damage stat, Kron, with your Mother Talzin team was really what you needed. I think it was you who told me that, Fatal. To be able to ramp Asajj, to beat down thick characters. Anyway, the point is that I think that a potency cron set 18 would have been fine. I checked. I have one that would have been sufficient to counter this amount of tenacity, but you were just about to say something, so go ahead.
Yeah, CG has declared war on tenacity. I don't know if this is going to be a continuing trend, but for those interested, definitely keep an eye out in the future. Set 19 has double the amount of potency as tenacity, so any would-be shenanigans, it's just like, no, man. Like, someone could have like an accidental single potency roll, and they're going to be good for whatever your god tenacity roll is. So it's just like, nah, don't even sweat it. Yeah, it's a good time to be like, if you're worried about seeing this, you more than likely already have a tool and don't even know it yet.
Fair. Okay. So yeah, I learned that. Of course, you saw the video about the Leia fail. I don't think. Oh yeah, this sucked, guys. And you know what I learned from this is that, TJ, this has been good to me. This single Emperor shuttle reinforcement, all last, I don't know, 2 or so seasons since we've had Punishing One added to the game. If I had to do it all again, if I had just brought SAS Mark 6, this would have been low banners, but it would have been a one-shot. So we bid goodbye to this offensive composition of Leviathan. We will be retiring the Emperor shuttle and bringing back 2 reinforcements, as CG apparently intended, because holy crap, when this character came out, the fight was pretty much over. I think I already had locked buffs on me before then, or it happened like almost immediately after, and then we're losing control of this, and then we lost control of it. Okay.
Isn't the XB only reinforcement there to stop or to throw a wrench in the endurance?
Sorry?
Because the endurance really gets off on you bringing in Boba first, who doesn't do any damage.
I'm not sure about your question that you're asking. Say again.
I was saying that generally against this comp, you can use something like endurance.
Yeah, I'm not very experienced.
And the reason for only XB is the endurance kind of preys on the fact that they bring in Boba first, who doesn't do anything. So just having this as the only reinforcement, I think, is there to throw a wrench in the endurance.
I like that. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. I don't think it would have stopped a real proper Leviathan offense, but yeah.
No. I was talking more about trying to cheese it.
Yeah, no, yeah. I take your point. So, if you're going to go only one reinforcement like this with Palpatine, it could be rough waters for you with Leviathan, but otherwise I think you could make that smooth. So you saying that this is anti-endurance is an interesting point. Sorry, TJ, you were going to say.
No, it's 2 things. One, I've never been a fan of doing a single reinforcement. I always want to bring Sash just in case. Not for what you're saying, Tash, just from it's like, you're not going to need the Mark 6, so the Mark 6 does the setup. But always bring the Sash just in case for anything else you want to do. Just because it does help you out. So I agree with you, but at the same time, I'm never trying to pinch banners, and as we all know the rule, if you can, never let it get to fleet, which is why Fatal doesn't do fleet. And Sasha says he hates fleet, but also our key guys in the top for a reason. The other piece, and I think Dagger eloquently put it, the reason you would do OG Boba on a triple attacker by himself, we've talked about it, Tass, is because you want Boba to come out. That's the idea, right? You've got the things like that. So Dagger calling out that you're doing Xanadu Blood is the exact reason you do that, is you want the guaranteed reinforcement setup. You want the guaranteed retribution to lock anything out you're going to try to do. So it's,
Yeah, the retribution can be very problematic. So
one other quick note about this.
Mhm.
I have done this fight a couple of times in arena, just because there are some people who climb with the Executor. Calling an assassin and in between your actual specials. I don't know how you played this one, because I didn't watch the video, but usually it's like second special, call in sass, first special, call in pelp, ult.
Yeah.
That's usually good enough. Yeah, you lose like 2 ships. I'm not even trying to pretend it's clean, right? But sass bridges that gap by lapping you a turn.
It's just this. It's just the palp, just because somebody's got the tag, so the palp just removes the tag. So it's just delaying the ability that they're going to mass blow you out.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key thing. The only problem I have, and it goes to the point of, they did this long spiel with CG. We talked about it, Tass. We tried it every which way under the sun. You can set it up the way you want when it comes about turn order, doing all this, and it's like that's not true. When you set it up, it's still going to be Houndstooth depending on it, even if you don't want it to come out. So it's like, I get they said all of this stuff. It's like, you can set it up and it'll follow. It's like, no, it doesn't. I don't know what you're talking about, but mechanically, that's not how the fight goes. So we have to try to trick the system. I know it's being done, and I know it did it to me. Our guildmate got me with the Leviathan setup. I knew what it was going to be, too, and I still went in thinking, nah, he didn't do it to me. And caught me with the setup of making sure that what's his name? That Maul comes out. So he got the turn meter loop, and because of that, I didn't bring my own scimitar, to make sure it did. So it's like, yeah, I know what CG's trying to tell us, but that's not how it works, and it's not doing what it's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I do think that it's really interesting, but I really think that I don't know how good IG2K is. I'm not. It was so good for so long, and now it just feels it's such a not a good reinforcement. Like you can't start it really, and it's just not a good reinforcement. So like, I like the idea of setting the one reinforcement because the only other 2 you're setting are going to be Boba or IG, and I don't want either of those coming in.
That's the problem, right? You want to use them, but you want them to come in when you want them to come in, right? Boba's is just way better. If you have Xanadu Blood, you want him to come in because that's just way better. Punishing one is a better IG, so Dagger's right. I would love to set IG, but if I set him for third, I want him to come in third. And it just doesn't do what you want it to do.
Yeah, that's why I think triple attacker is more common to see. Because you put XP starting because Houndstooth will come in first.
Fair. Well, I didn't really have any interesting defenses. My Jabba held to his, Night Sisters, but that is part of that gamble, so nothing really interesting there. But about this Executor, based on our discussion just now, you still thinking about triple attacker next week, guys, or are you thinking something more like this?
I would say Executrix is back, so take that into account. I know this came up, and I fought it and took the risk because I was looking at it, and Jade set this on me, and I took Executrix, and I was still, but I could have played it better. I'll say I did lose a couple of ships, but I could have not, most likely, on a different mover here or there. But I was still able to clear it with Executrix.
When you say Executrix is back, was there some type of fix, or...?
They brought it back with the taunt. The taunt is back. I was able to
the tweak to scythe. It was the tweak to scythe that made this work again, because now the TIE fighters get marked.
Yeah, the way they should have done. Yeah.
Right, and now it's back. That's what I'm saying. The marked is here again, so it's like I was able to go and do the Executrix and play it out just fine.
So you're saying that given that kind of makes you feel like erring towards triple for your own defense.
Triple attacker is harder for Endurance and Empire.
Interesting.
It's easier for Leviathan, but if they're going to Leviathan it, I guess I don't care.
No.
Okay. All right.
So I would not put Boba down though. I would do like Houndstooth IG. Because there are times where they'll call in Boba instead of Houndstooth, and I'm just not having that.
I want Boba out.
When are you wanting Houndstooth instead of Boba? Like I feel like
I always want Boba. You 100% want Boba.
When you're playing like Empire? when you're using like Empire or Endurance, you absolutely are okay with Boba coming out.
If they're using Leviathan like Tass
Yeah, this
did,
isn't about
and you get
Leviathan.
that,
This is not about
no,
Leviathan. This isn't
but
about Leviathan.
Okay.
your question was
My
in regards to Boba, and I'm saying I
yes,
always want
but
the
it has
preface.
nothing to do with Leviathan.
But if you've looked at the mark, and if your whole team is marked off, right, everything's aligned
Yes.
and it's gone successful by your first reinforcement, you're already having all of your ships marked. I want Boba to come out because he's going to come out and blow up the ships. That's getting you to a faster ult.
Have you done like that? That hasn't been how the Endurance fight plays out in my experience, or the Empire fight.
You should record one soon and share.
Yeah, I can try to remember to do that. I need to figure out how to record on my computer.
Yes, that's fair. That's fair. That's a whole.
But yeah,
endeavor.
no, I agree with what you're saying, TJ. I'm simply saying that because of the way the Empire and Endurance fleets function, I feel like having the sticky taunt is more annoying than Boba coming out.
Okay.
And Leviathan doesn't care.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, anyway, that covers my breakdown for attack and defense. Dagger, how about you? What you got? Anything good? I mean, probably not, but I don't want to just skip you and be rude. So.
No, I didn't even come up with anything funny or witty this week.
Okay. Good. See, time saved.
I will say this: there is pressure to full clear, at least now, which is
And I believe in you, and I think
I'm saying that's the only real difference is people now are 11 to 12 million with 10 to 15 level 9s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There is pressure. I just
Okay. All right, TJ.
Right.
How about you? Attack and defense. I got you up on screen.
Like I said, man,
take me there.
I got beat by 2 points because I let it get the ships with Jade.
Okay. What are we looking at?
Yeah, we had a great run. So we both, again, bad luck on me doing Java, but then it's like now LV beats that, so it's the L, like it's there for Java is obviously the big problem. The fun one for me overall the week, you're gonna call it best. There was no defense, man. Realistically, there was no defense, in my opinion. Attacks, it was cool seeing the old stuff work again. Hashtag BKM on JMK. That's cool. So JMK punches way up. Why lose to BKM? Treya's getting beat out by Gitbay. Why post Treya? And actually, Fatal's been doing it forever, but Zori has a lot of places. It can do some things on defense, but I've got a lot of saves on man, I need a clean counter that's going to work. And just overall, Zori has a lot of areas to cover this ground right now based on turn meter gain and you need to be clean. It was killing all sorts of stuff. I will say I screwed up so you're looking at an Enoch fight. I let it get to DTP, and I watched DTP literally eat my team.
Chomp.
Yeah, dude, it was user error because I was leaving it alone, and then I had the team basically down into the thing, and then he chomped one character. He chopped in order. He chomped Cassian. Then chomped my Adrad, and then chopped Jin, and they went bye-bye. In that order at that point of that fight. And I had it won. So I was like, oh man.
Wow.
All right. I'll take the hit, dude.
That's
so I'll call it favorite defense was his on me, because that was hilarious.
All right.
Absolutely had it wood. I'm like, note to self, I put on the note, need tank, protect self. Because no chomp. Yeah, it was good.
Oh, you guys might be interested to know. It reminds me, take a look at this Kel team you fought. I fought a Kel Mace Grandmaster with Tarful, Zalbar, Vandor. Fight was a little long. I think if I had some armor penetration off a set 19, it probably would have gone significantly quicker. But it was 57. So kind of neat as far as a value buy. I don't expect to see a lot of Kel on defense without some type of Jedi angle, but
I don't think Jedi belong on defense. That's just a personal opinion. I'm not going to discount Fatal's Wide. I think Fatal's Wide is amazing. And I know it's closing thoughts, but it's Jedi aren't procced up right now by any Datacron. No stuns, no tricks, you got some bulk. Fatal, what did you say? You hated to see it being so honest with bulk. I think those were your words during one of your streams. I'm like, yeah, Jedi just aren't the money. There's just no viability, in my opinion.
I unironically respect Qui-Gon posters more than Keller and Beck posters. If I see someone post Keller and Beck, I am also judging. At least with Qui-Gon, that is like, okay, there's a bomb on the table, and it says like cut the red wire, and the bomb, goes off or like shuts off. And it's like, okay, well I could probably cut that red wire, but maybe you just like get bored or trip and fall or something, and that bomb could go off, and at least like at least something can happen there. With Keller and Beck, I'm like, man, what like. Yeah, okay. You're like an alternate Basil from 5 years ago, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, TJ. Sasha, Aisha, how about you? What you got? Let's take a look at your week.
Yeah, there was some interesting defense. The one that I'd call out is just like we've been looking for reliable uses of Dengar in a bunch of spots. I just found on the defensive side, Dengar with an Afra BT1. I'm not saying it's not beatable; it certainly is. But again, you slot it down towards your last 2 or 3 defenses on the board, and it can be problematic. It was problematic for some of my opponents. I ran into it in an opponent after I used a bunch of counters, and it gets messy. Particularly if you've got a decent amount of prot on that. On the Dengar Kron. So that was a pretty cool one. On the offensive side, this is just sort of pulling a thread from the last time we all got together about Gungans and the sun setting on their defensive viability. Like both times I used Phoenix, and it was like Hera, OG Hera, Krex, and Sabine, and within. If I wanted to, I was to move quickly. Probably within 40 seconds, you can knock out any Gungan squad. That was honestly disappointing because these were like all R9 Gungans I'm facing, and that included like one comp that was Tarpals instead of Phalanx. So I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Yeah, let me bring Phoenix Sabine for this too, and just see if that survives. It was really remarkably easy. So that was cool. Then one other shout out I would make, this was the one that I've been referring to before about like a Spectre squad. And this is a shout out to Baby Yoda for pulling apart the Ahsoka squad a bit and setting General Syndulla, Ezra, and Padawan Sabine. And it was the 5th on the Baby Yoda had set on the bottom front defense. I did not want to spend much on it. And it's interesting, as you start thinking through, they were all R9 as well, but, it's to be expected, I guess. And it was a really good squad. It was remarkably strong.
Yeah.
It was very effective. And I started to think, I'm like, okay, I didn't have, I thought, oh, well, maybe bounty hunters, because it takes these guys a little bit to ramp. Maybe bounty hunters can. No, you're not going to be able to insta-defeat a Spectre there, right? So I didn't use that. If you have Treya, that's less appealing because you're not going to be able to use Annihilate. And I ended up just getting frustrated. This is like, I had to rush out of the house, other stuff, and so I'm like, oh, well, I gotta get through it. I saw Bane there, and I used Bane. And what's interesting, and so that ended up costing me because I struggled with the QA on the other side of it, but on the back wall. But that Bane fight was remarkable in that it took me like 4 minutes or 3.5 minutes, at least. I thought it would be, they'll just melt in front of it. They did not. So I was impressed with that squad. Popped up by a nice Datacron. But the fact that you've got Ezra in 3v3, him as an off tank effectively becomes like a really good primary tank with his resilient defense that's popping up all the damn time. And I would have loved to have been able to get rid of Padawan Sabine, but there was that Datacron made it really challenging. So cool squad. I just like that squad. I was impressed with it.
Okay, nice. Anything you wanted to say about fighting this Akbar?
Yeah. I mean, I rolls it that was. I saw a few of these. I think Baby Yoda Aesop did the same thing and failed the first time on it, and then both he and I resorted to the same thing, and then Aiden just steamrolls it, which made me sad. I would have loved to have seen it be able to hold up against that because it's just a fun squad. What I will say is the Padme squad that I ran with first there, and I should have known, but this was in memory that was in deep storage. I've used Padmes and timed out and gotten frustrated with Akbar squads in previous metas because they go so damn often that you really aren't getting a lot of attempts. It was the first time without mastery ramping or anything, that's an R9 Stormtrooper Han, that I really felt the evasion mastery of that Han. I can't tell you how many times that Han dodged on me. You wait 30 seconds for a turn, and it's like, all right, here I am, and it's all in, everything's going after, and it's like dodge.
Oh my god, look at and see this had the level 6 on it. Yeah, this was a horror show. Whenever Rebel allies attack out of turn, they have a 25% chance to remove 10% turn meter from the target. I mean, for almost any other Rebel team, maybe arguably Mon Mothma, it's kind of a crap level 6, but here, yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah, totally. It was that was funny. I guess one other attack I'll call out before handing it off, just because it served me really well, and unfortunately we're after lock for folks, but I think I talked about it last week. And that was I had crit chance on a Star Killer Datacron, and I also remodded my Star Killer for 130% physical crit chance, and then there's 50% I had on Datacron. And it really nullified that level 6 UFU, 100% crit avoidance. And so, everything I was going through took me, pacing myself, it was 2 minutes, for each of those raid battles.
Nice.
Can I ask you one thing real quick? Sasha, when you did the fight with the Hera, with the Ezras, I just looked at the stats, everybody's putting ATF, and I think I faced the same thing. I overkilled it, but do you feel like it was the proc of the Ezra? Was that your second Datacron, or the thing that really made your fight the difficult piece? Obviously, it's durable, right? Obviously, with the Spectre, it's good, and I actually do like the Hera setup, but do you feel like it was more the Ezra than anything else? I would probably think it is.
Ezra really absolutely has to be there. So I thought that entire comp, and it was, I thought the Datacron was solid, plus they're all R9. It took probably all those pieces, TJ. And the other thing I will say, this was my own miscalibration, and that I tried, as you can see there, I tried to go really cheap, because I actually, even though I screwed up on it, I had a lot of fun, because this is what we want. We have these new puzzles, right? Yeah. And so I looked at it, it's cool, I haven't done this. And so I wanted to start kind of deeper in the bag of tricks and goofy stuff, and actually I ran that dash squad, and it wasn't a proper dash squad, but I brought Mandor with him to make sure I revised, and I brought Han just because I wanted to see if I could potentially keep Ezra stunned and not have Exile come out. I lost it a long time. It's just it couldn't quite get there. So I think, yes, it needs basically all of this. It has to have Ezra, or it's worthless. I think there's also a very cost-efficient solution someplace between the lower-end crap that I threw at it first and the Bane that I got impatient and threw it at the end. There's some proper calibration that I did not take the time to get to. But it was still, I thought, a cool squad. And it's also why I'm a little disappointed that, GL Ahsoka, without, General Syndulla there, is so much more vulnerable, unless you're also using Fulcrum, which means no Fulcrum with Rey, which means no Fulcrum with Seer, which I had mine with Seer, and I liked that, So anyway, it's a lot of moving pieces, but yeah.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. Thanks for going through it all. Yeah, it was a good breakdown. Fatal, sorry to leave you there on ice for so long. Let's hear about, it sounds like you've got some war stories to share, so let's hear about your favorite attack and defense of the week.
The funny thing is, I don't know if there's actually that much interesting offensively to shout. It feels like a lot of players are kind of following the same template, and so mostly I'm just looking to subvert that and be a piece of shit. I don't know. My general feeling for the season is it takes defense to make defense. So I'm a defense theory crafter, but I'm not talking about posting defense, just defense sets. Right? We're in a period of Datacrons where, we've had some good bulk, some good defense, a bunch of convenience flying around for a while. That's kind of gone right now, so it feels like modding has taken over in a major way. So almost all of my interest is kind of just on my defense right now rather than offense, I would say. I don't know, like, maybe I could shout out that, like, yeah, if you jam all Barris against Amidala, then you can save Bane for C, which is kind of like transitive property. You're countering Ahsoka with your JML. But actually, I'm going to be going the other way, where I'm probably going to go back to Bane against Amidala so I can try posting JML.
Interesting.
I'm not. Nobody do that. I'm not advocating to do that. It's just that we're talking about going wide, and I'm not saying posting JML is ever a good idea. But a lot of the stuff that beats JML is being used elsewhere right now. So
and state it clearly for the folks at home what you mean on a high level strategically about going wide. Why you're thinking that, and why you're thinking that's the better way to do it this season.
When I say going wide, what I mean is you post enough substantial teams that eventually your defense will start running into teams where your opponent doesn't have either proper counters or counters that they're familiar with, or will put them outside of their comfort zone. And so, really, this is why I'd say that 3v3 is a better mode than 5v5 right now, is because you used to be able to do that in 5s. And the number of teams existing right now doesn't really let you do that. In 3s, you very much still can. And so, yeah, trying to build out a defense where, for every team that would say, oh, that trades poorly, right? Balin trades into Gungans. LV trades into Bo-Katan Mandalore. You count down to the 12th or 13th or 14th or 15th team, and that's where I have, like, Saw Gerrera, Luth, and Krex with some really fucking good defense mods sitting there saying, hey. Right, like,
okay.
The killing blow is rarely ever my A or B teams unless it's just like an absurd season for them or something. The ethos is always just to gas you out and then finish you off with something as absurd as like Tuskens or gas. So I think this is an excellent season for that. I think a lot of people, I mean, week 1 had some uncertainties that certainly did not hurt. But yeah, right? Like, if you're looking for free banners, I would shout out my Java. Like, match 1, my Java held to Night Sisters even without a Datacron, just because I pushed their tenacity mods.
Yeah.
You experienced that firsthand, I've experienced that firsthand. You just, look, man, Night Sisters versus Java is great, but it's not a counter that you get to be lazy on, and I'm a fucking lazy piece of shit.
It's fair.
I paid my dues, I no longer pay them. I do the work, but yeah, no, I don't actually really think I have any fights specifically to shout out. It's just, I think it's a good time to go wide if that's something that you as a person are interested in. There's some teams that I've posted that I don't, like, advocate for yet, of, like, I don't know, I posted Seer, Fulcrum, Crew, and, like, that's probably bad. That doesn't sound real, but, like, I don't know how y'all feel about, like, Fulcrum Leia, but the moment that I realized that the Taunt Ignore, she would blend that off other bonusers immediately, I kind of lost interest.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a couple folks have good results with Fulcrum.
I'm sure it's still good. I'm sure it's still good.
Yeah, but that was all anecdotal evidence from last week. I haven't really looked at the data on it. I guess I could do that here while we're all talking. Any other? So yeah, you didn't really have anything else you wanted to highlight there.
Yeah, like, I just don't know. I don't know if there's any one fight that is a good example of why I feel strong. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I've been putting a lot of work into my mods, and I just need to, like, farm defense sets for like a year to fulfill my ambitions, I guess.
And you're seeking the fast defense sets with high offense, something like that?
Everything.
Anything and everything you can get.
Triple bulk match, or 4 bulk match of speed, or bulk plus offense.
Whatever you get, you're going to find a home for.
The one thing I will shout, because this felt like a pretty decent pivot, is Raycal. I swapped to Raycal in match 2, and then match 2 and 3.
Yeah, I was thinking about that this week as well. I saw somebody dropped on yours. I see that very cleverly you had the Dispel level 6.
You saw that? Yep,
yes,
yep.
I did. I saw that. Yeah, there it is right there. And how does it go stat-wise? Your stats, you got resistance penetration, so it's all about the Ben Kapow for you.
The stats are dog shit.
Okay. It's just they are what they are. It was all about the 369.
No rerolls. It's legitimately just heisting people with the level 6. I think for the most part this week. The reason why this stands out to me, like obviously we had the Malicos conversation, and I think in match 3, I hold the Star Killer and then lose to Malicos. I'm not really sweating that yet though, because my Cal's modding was dog shit this week, and it no longer will be. And so, like, he was on like speed set, defense set, 4 protection primary. So it's like literally bending over for Malicos. Don't ask. I see that look. Don't ask. Just know that it's no longer here.
Good. I mean, so what is your recipe for him? I guess we're all after lock now. Did you just go back to full health or what?
3 defense set, 4 health primary. Malicos, go fuck yourself. Like if you're gonna come take it, you gotta earn it.
Dig it. Dig it. I like it a lot. Zeroed out on speed, or do you have any amount of speed on there?
I don't even think I even worried about speed. Like, the auto cleanse serves a purpose, but I don't think I'm too worried about it in Cal's case. I'm just trying to strong arm with the protection up.
Okay.
The cleanse is really just Shanghai Star Killer dependent squads that are trying to keep raid debuff to stop War 1 from doing what it do.
Dig that. Well, hey, appreciate you breaking that down. Guys, it's time to move to takeaways and final thoughts. We have made it here to the end. So, for my part, my takeaways are... So I only have one legitimate round. I did like Balin on offense. It was super clean. I've seen a couple folks failing with Inquisitors. I'll look into that a little bit more, but using Inquisitors against Balin by and large still seems reliable. I fought Elias Lund's Balin with my Inquisitors and did get a 54. That is generally what that fight is worth. And yeah, I mean, so much depends on taking out those sides before either of them really gets a chance to use the AoE. I mean, Shin's going to use Clean Escape on her first move, so you get a little reprieve. But if Marok gets to go, that AoE can generally clean your clock. So, something for me to think about is if I'm still keeping Balin for offense, that might be rock solid. I'm also definitely thinking about my Ahsoka team on defense. What you guys have told me here about using either Fulcrum here to, for sure, block out this Magma Guard thing, or commit Sabine to just put some RNG into it and then use Fulcrum elsewhere. That's really what I'm focusing on. Is it's at our level, it's certainly up here, in the top 50, top 20, Kyber 1. It's usually only 2 or 3 fights that matter for the entire board, fleet excluded. So I'm going to spend a lot of time thinking about that myself. Dagger, how about you?
I'm going to be spending an awful lot of time in Kyber 1 or in Erodium 1 just waiting for next season.
Fantastic. I appreciate that. Valuable strategic insights. I can't wait till you're back in Kyber, man.
Look, I'm not even trying to be disrespectful, but it's mostly just sitting on children.
I hear you. And we were laughing here before we started recording that it would just be ideal for you to get the glitch to go from the top of Erodium to the top of Kyber and then just fight Sasha. Next season.
Well, I was more thinking fighting Aesop and then just never letting you live it down that I'm just ahead of you perpetually and there's nothing you can do about it.
I mean, it would, if you want to live on the notion that the only time you're going to be able to be consistently up ahead of me is when the game spoon feeds it to you via glitch, you can claim that till the cows come home, my brother.
No. It's just the easiest way to do it because I already put in the work I previously put in the work to get to and stay there forever until, it wasn't.
You got to earn your bread out here. That's right.
Yeah,
Nobody eats for free at this table.
3.5, almost 4 months for earning my bread, so I'm trying to...
I'm saying I'm acknowledging your acknowledgement of the effort it takes. Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, appreciate you. TJ, how about you? Your takeaways, your final thoughts. What do you got for the folks at home?
I don't know, man. It feels the wide sentiment from Fatal was like a struck chord for me for week 2. We went from unknowns like Fatal. It's gonna be a lot of like Fatal said. Because I'm watching all the things you would think would do it, and it's just not doing it. Things are getting beat out, and if you're not investing heavily in changing it, because you're going to come across as a standard player like me, I have my template. I'm going to come across, and I'm going to go in, and I'm not going to do the effort that Fatal's going to put in to his mother's, great example, or some of the other things like super tenacity modding, where that's doing it without a cron. The wide sentiment feels good if you are good enough in the game to do that. Because to go wide like that, you still have to be good at the other side, which is being able to play the game, know the kits, and do the work to get past that. It's high risk, high reward, and I feel like I've agreed with Fiddle for a while now that 3s feels like the more bigger GAC because you can hose down your opponent, right? You can set something that's going to catch them, and once it catches them quick, one right down team can mess up your whole GAC. You're done, right? That'll be the one that gets you. We've all been there. We've all had it. So I like the going wide as long as you're willing to take the risk and ride the ride that it brings with it.
And I mean, I feel like I appreciate us analyzing it in these terms, but if we're going to step back and take a look at things for what they are, I think we can just come out and say that we're back in an efficiency meta. Can we all just cop to that?
I have to be there because
am I wrong?
I literally lost a Java fight and got perfected. My one Java fight, and I don't think I said a weak defense. And I lost Java, he didn't. He used what I used the second round, so I'm like, that was it. I was not good enough where it's like Fatal feels like on the right track because the counters are wide open right now, and a lot of old stuff, like I said, it was cool seeing old stuff be back, right? You can't just go, let me go set JMK in the back and trick you. It's like, well, I just BKM'd it for 57. And I didn't even have to play it well for it to be a 57. And that's a meta you don't want to be in. That's a situation you don't want to be in where you're trying to set all these things that would normally hold up right now. It's honest. It's in your face because it's just bulk. It's other things. Or they're going to be faster because of Terminator. Well, you just shut it down with a JMK. Or you'll shut it down that way. So that's where it's like you need another advantage. And you have 15 teams to get through. That's a lot of work. And as Fatal called it out again, your 13th, 14th, and 15th one, and we've all said it too when we've done our plotting and we've done the scheming, it's like, I need you to get to this last one, and that's why it's up top. Because you'll go bottom, front, bottom, back, and now you got to deal with the top teams, and that's where it's going to be your bread and butter to hold you over. Because Dagger said it, you do have to clear. We are at a point of it is a you must clear situation because we have so many teams. Okay. That's where I sit at.
All right. I appreciate that. Fair take. Sasha Aisha, sir, how about you? I know we've kind of left you on the back burner here for a few minutes, but what do you got cooked up for week 2?
Yeah, I don't want to go back to an efficiency meta, and I do see the signs of that, sort of in the approaching on the horizon. But I think one way to manage it, the reality is, the new puzzle that we were all handed, the GL Ahsoka, is not as challenging and complicated as we might have hoped it was going to be when put on defense. But what that also then means is, I think to try and juice up defenses, you can, without risk of getting stuck behind somebody else's Ahsoka quite as badly, and with some of the other counters out there, you can lean more heavily, more aggressively from week 1 to week 2, shifting bigger squads to defense and feel as if you've got a realistic shot. And that's probably my inclination, just to avoid the one-shot meta, because I don't find the one-shot meta fun. And the mud wrestling stuff and different mixtures across what are, I think, some fairly interesting Datacron sets, not overpowering, but interesting stuff out there. That feels appealing to me. So that's kind of where I'm gravitating. And I don't exactly know what that'll mean in terms of team comps set, but it does give me more of an itch to set either more GLs or otherwise just more top tier teams on defense. thinking I can probably manage on offense, and I've got to do something to make it interesting for both me and my opponents.
You're going to fight the tide and see where it takes you.
Yeah, as it drags me down.
Fair. Yes, excellent. We rode the wave of that metaphor. All right,
Yeah.
Fatal, how about you? Your takeaways, your final thoughts, your last words for the people.
Yeah, I feel good right now. I don't really feel the winds of like a possible efficiency, but I mean, efficiency perfectly viable as it always is. But I don't know if I'm like there yet. But I also I'm like rank 130 or whatever. Maybe I just need to get higher than I'm like fighting against people who aren't used to my brand of bullshit.
Fair.
5v5, I think, will easily, yes, very much be a efficiency about it. But that's a problem for later.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
we got 3 more weeks. But yeah, no, I don't know. My final thoughts are probably just going to become a broken record over the course of this year. But when datacrons aren't able to provide you with the bulk that we've come to crave, I think I'm very much just on like a defense mod apocalypse. I sold like 100 mods to make space to just like do 9x refreshes a day. Now that CG has this energy change for tickets that we can just do whatever energy source we want is like holy shit. Like it is so nice that I could just like okay, no, I'm serious about this. I'm ditching all other energy sources right now so I can just like hammer the fuck out of this problem. But I do feel. I'm not saying that like you should go do this, but I have been putting a lot of elbow grease into defense sets with good bulk, and I've been placing them in key places, and so far, I'm seeing like results that make me happy.
Hit me with your top 5. Top 5, like because you're doing such a massive effort. It's going to be a lot more than 5 characters you're focused on. But hit me with your top 5. Who are the ones that you really are excited to get in a defense set, or you were recently excited to get in a defense set? Is Cal a freebie there? Is that one that you were really looking forward to?
Cal is a change that I made for this week. Just like the reason why he was on the weird janky modding before was just for Seer Lead, because I believe that having Cal like ride the wave where he's not fast, but he's like fast-ish. Like he's letting you go first, but he's like riding on your coattails to be like, I'm gonna get you. I'm counting to 30. I'm coming. Like that's why I was there. So, like it was bad for raid purposes, but it served a purpose. But yeah, no, 100% is like. Honestly, I could just like pull out my hot utils. I did a thing on stream the other day where I was like, oh fuck, hot utils is down. No.
Mm-hmm.
It paid off later in the episode. Wait a minute now. Holy shit, hot utils is back. I made a list of like, okay, these are squads where I have new characters that I need to farm defense sets for, and it was like 20 teams. Where at least one character is like, okay, I want defense sets for them and do not defense sets for them.
Yeah, no doubt. With the wide effort, as you said you were making, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the loader right now.
No, you're all good. You're all good. I appreciate you entertaining.
Okay.
Yeah.
Master Qui-Gon, Padawan Obi-Wan transitioning over to Bruiser. JML, I'm pushing high defense and health secondaries just to mess around with defense prospects if I actually do feel comfortable between Ahsoka and Amidala. As a Bridger, I swapped down to 3x defense just to see if I could fuck with Magma along the way, because I think it'd be really funny just to time him with strong arming him. It was just like, yeah, you got infinite turns, but you got 5 minutes. What's up? Great Mothers, Morgan Elsbeth, Nicest Spirit, just as like, I don't know if I'm going to R9 Spirit, but I think, like, they have Bless, and I think Bless gives percent health reduction, but I still don't want to make it easy for you to get through.
Yeah.
Cyan instead, swap over for Fulcrum. Marin, but I did her homework ages ago. Set the Turtle Emperor, I think, is an interesting shout, as like pushing offense secondaries. Like, I feel like C, maybe this is just like my personal bias. C has just been like the same mods for me for like 3 or 4 years. It's just like,
yeah.
You entered the era of like, okay, we need Set the Turtle Emperor to be like 200,000 health, and then I just never touched it again. But I'm actually like,
it's true.
Yep, I want to push his armor, I want to push his offense, I want to give him a crit damage triangle. Because if I'm asking him to kill an Ahsoka team on his own, then I probably need some elbow grease to like make sure it happens.
Interesting.
Luthen and Enoch both happened around the same time for me of 3x defense at 4x protection primary, just to really fuck with would-be Saw Gerrera counters, and I think that put a lot of pressure and got me some really funny ults, like timing out a JMK Cat.
Wow, nice. Yeah. I remember losing to that somewhere in the very distant past.
Oh, dude. Oh, my God. This is a bug. I need to report this. Has anyone A, fought a Saw Luthen, and then B, seen Luthen just never make the Saw again?
Yeah, I have.
Dude, I was like... No, I was doing Jawas against Mon Mothma Luthen. And I was like, okay, you know... I got all of them down and the Jawa detonator pop, and it was Luthen last standing, and I was like, okay, this should be a loss, because Luthen's going to keep making the summon, and I'll just get stuck, right? Yeah. And then, nope, he just never pushed that button ever again. I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
Fantastic. CG bugs. Good
random tangent. Anyway, I'm going to chuck them all on Bo-Katan Mandalore, I'm going to chuck them all on Mercenaries. Queen Amidala was also the same thing as Luthen. Like,
most anything that's meta that you're setting on defense at all is a candidate for you, I guess.
If it lives and breathes, I'm having that conversation with myself.
Okay.
I don't know, man. It's addictive.
So that's the backdrop against any other modding that needs to justify itself for you, because you're feeling like a default defense is not a bad way to roll.
Here is okay. Wait, like, I'm not gonna take long to this.
No.
How do you feel is a problem? Because how do you feel has that stat screen when you're automating, and it'll tell you everything that you do. And how do you feel will calculate for you your effective total health, which it'll tell you like your health plus protection times your defense. Mm-hmm. And like you can always do that by hand, but it's just there. It's just like available to you. And so you'll be setting your stats for a character, and it'll be like, or I'll be like, well, if I shave 100 offense, I can grab like 30k effective health. What? That's a big number and a small number. That seems like an easy trade. And then you just keep doing that over and over and over. You have like a million effective health pow, and you've cut off like 1,000 offense. And I'm like,
nice.
I don't know. Like that doesn't seem like an awful thing. I'm trying to fuck with Bane, so like, yeah, sure, I'll give him a bit of Bale and Crown. We'll get some of that offense back, and I'll be a pain in the ass to kill.
Dig it.
It's a slippery slope.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, I appreciate that. Thanks for breaking that down. I know I've been working on defense sets as well, among other things. I'm also making sure I have a wicked offense set ready for Dark Ray when we get her, coming up in a month-ish, something like that. But anyways, Fatal, before I go ahead and sign us off, as the only other content creator on our podcast, where can the good people find you?
Twitch.tv/PlaybookTV. The YouTube project is still well underway, but to be honest, there's some topics that are coming up. I haven't really talked about it here, so maybe I can talk about it here. There's some shit that I really want to make a video on, because I think it could be really interesting to like get started on immediately. But I feel like that channel should stay dead until my big project is done, and so now I'm conflicted. So that's where I'm at.
Well, I can only say this much. As an eager viewer, I'd say if you have a few crumbs to throw our way that won't spoil our dinner, this dinner that you've been cooking and stewing and preparing for so long, if you can throw us some crumbs, I'll eat them.
I've been thinking about 7.mods, and they may never happen, or they may happen in 5 years, but holy fuck, when you think about it, how you farm mods kind of changes, and I think there's a lot to break down there, actually, so we'll see.
Yeah.
I really want to talk about it soon.
Yeah, an advanced class on modding, something to because your videos are standbys. I've made a couple videos about how to mod, but if there's some advanced material that you can cover in the near future, I'm sure everybody would be interested to see. All right. Well, I guess that wraps us up, guys. If you're used to watching me, then you know that you can find me at twitch.tv/Tassinix. If you're a fan of the stream, you also know that I post my VODs with chapters added for easy browsing to my YouTube, Tassinix Gaming, which is, of course, a rebroadcast point for the Plotting and Scheming podcast. But I also have some other Swugger-related content there that you would be interested in. Datacron set guide on set 18, and I'm actually recording the set 19 video myself this week. It will get done. I'm also trying to finish up the Balin Mercenary faction. We just had the Shin video come out this week for the mod guides, so that's up there. Recent GAC Omicron tier list that I made, that's also up on the YouTube, and yeah, a bunch of other odds and ends. Feel free to check it out. Of course, the Plotting and Scheming podcast is hosted on Spotify, rebroadcasted out onto Google Podcasts, which of course gets us back to YouTube. And every episode has the RSS feed link in the description, so wherever you like listening to your podcast, catch us there. Let's see. Aside from that, yeah, if you like the show, if you like the cut of my jib, you want to support what I'm doing over here, I do have a Cash App that is $Tassinix. And if you do want to get something back, help raise your scouting game, get some early access, and just be an awesome part of my community, check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Tassinix. For any upwardly mobile Grand Arena player, there is something there of interest to you. $5 a month gets you into the TAS House at VIP access, where you get early access to the Plotting and Scheming podcast. This is usually coming out publicly on Fridays. My patrons are getting it Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, depending on how cooperative YouTube is being. But that's usually getting you that edge there to help in your round one planning. So, in addition to that, you would also get early access to the Datacron set guides, and of course, dedicated text and voice chat on Discord, where you can usually find me lurking. So pop on in, say hi. Thank you so much to Andrew, Arj, Deadpool Cow 28, JJ's Productions Twitch, Jobin4527, Johnny B. Ottawa, Miasmal, Moose Ross, Rays Malbus, Sam Vimes, Squed, Stark Strategy Gamer, Sweens14, White Wolf, and Zoltre. Moving on up to the $10 a month tier is VIP Access Plus, where you get a bundled Patreon access to me and to OmegaBot. So if you watch my streams, at the start of each one, I've got an OmegaBot report on my opponent. It gives an easy-to-understand visual breakdown of your opponent's offensive and defensive tendencies. Patrons get a downloadable HTML report that can actually stretch back further than just the last 2 weeks of history. It's got link integrations right back into swugga.gg or Insight, whichever one you use. Again, just helps you further save time on your scout. Thank you so much to Stryker, Esh Sotnikam, and Dobby. At VIP Access Premium, this is $15 a month for the Double Bot bundle. So Patreon access to me, to OmegaBot, and to Hot Utils, the #1 tool for your mass mod management and loadout creation. You just heard Fatal wax on about what he's able to minimize, maximize, tweak with Hot Utils. It is a fantastic tool for remodding your roster, going through your mod collection, slicing through, getting rid of it. I also personally use it the most for just quickly switching between my loadouts, between Raid, TB, TW. Just saves a ton of time. The automate function's incredibly powerful, to say nothing of everything that it can do for you and your guild in TW. Thank you so much to Duckstab, Dark Hug, Ivanek, General Milan, Sir Boss, Quig, Wilco, and Frick Frack Paddywhack. At the top of the heap in Jester's Club Elite, the one, the only Nomad's Reaper. This gentleman pops into streams from time to time and drops hundreds of subs, thousands of biddies, incredibly generous support over the years. Thank you, sir, ever so much. And of course, to our special thanks. First up, Yoda Force. One of my original supporters from way back in the day bought me the mic that I'm speaking to you on right now, and even though he has long since quit the game, we wish him well from the other side. To Mrs. T, my wife, thank you for all of your efforts in the background while I'm streaming, while I'm plotting and scheming, even while recording our show here. From keeping our daughter from utterly destroying our home, because she is at that very active phase, so nothing is safe, nowhere is safe. Thankfully, the cats still have their claws so that they could defend themselves, but she's mostly interested in property damage, so thank you for running interference. And of course, never last, my co-hosts here on Plotting and Scheming, Dagger, TJ, Sasha, Aisha, and Fatal. Gentlemen, yeah, second episode of the new year, and as always, it's a pleasure and a privilege to be here with you guys. I learned a bunch from you guys today. I'm always learning every one of these episodes. It's really a pleasure for me. And I know you guys feel the same. I know our community feels the same. Thank you all for making the time on a weekly basis and being a part of this winning recipe. Okay, moving back on over. Yeah, that wraps us up. It was it was one good round for me, but a lot of opportunities to pick up lessons. Looking forward to a better week 2, and I, again, do have the opportunity to square up against Elias Lund and avenge myself here in round 1. So catch my stream. I should be around Wednesday evening between 8 and 9 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, good luck to you in all your rounds this week. Until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.